Coming up, the cleanup continues after yesterday's powerful storms, and we remember the 1974 super outbreak.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Millions of Americans remain in the path of dangerous weather, from tornadoes to flooding and April snow. This storm system that started in California on Saturday is now reaching into the Northeast. CBS's Dave Malkoff begins our coverage from Sunbright, Tennessee.
Parts of the Midwest and South are feeling the brunt of severe weather that left a wide path of destruction.
Just a gut punch to see your town and see these old buildings just demolished.
Thankful to be alive, residents of Sunbright, Tennessee, north of Knoxville, walked through the remains of damaged and destroyed homes. With their 4-year-old in his arms, Lexi Hamby's husband, Noah, grabbed onto the hoodie of her sweatshirt to keep the force of the twister from pulling her and their 6-month-old away.
I went straight on my back right here with my baby in my hands. I fell directly right here, and if it wouldn't have been for him, me and her would be gone.
Alex Strayer's house was under construction. He and his wife recall the wind almost pulling them outside.
It was just trying to suck you out of the building.
Multiple tornadoes powered into Kentucky, which has dealt with the aftermath of twisters many times before.
What I know and what I have seen is that every time we're hit, we will get through it, and we'll get through it together.
Visitors to Florida's Disney World ran for cover on Wednesday afternoon as rain pounded down. And back in Ohio, amid days of flooding, a rainbow appeared over the sky in Columbus. Dave Malkoff, CBS News, Sunbright, Tennessee.
The storm created trouble for some travelers. At its peak, thousands of flights were delayed and hundreds canceled along the East Coast. Atlanta, Orlando, and Chicago airports had the most delays. We'll take a look at this from Sunbright, Tennessee. This is security footage from Sunbright Baptist Church looking directly at the tornado forming. You can see the wall of a funeral home ripped off by the powerful winds. Now, this is the same storm that later moved into parts of the Cumberland Valley region last night, leading to several tornado warnings. Dozens of homes were damaged by strong winds in parts of southern Kentucky Tuesday. Officials in Whitley County say they started getting lots of phone calls of trees down and damage after 7 Tuesday night. They say the storm only lasted a matter of seconds, but it left a lot of damage and cleanup. The Bee Creek area near Laurel Lake appears to be one of the hardest hit areas. Some homes will be classified as destroyed. Others only had shingles missing. People say the storm was very quick and violent, and it left behind some costly damage.
The tree estimate is $25,000. So the roof and everything, we don't know. We're waiting on the adjusters. Somewhere, another, $20,000, $30,000.
Officials say they did not have any reports of injuries in Whitley County. The National Weather Service is expected to survey the damage there tomorrow. More storm damage from the air in Henry County. That's just northeast of Louisville. Officials say the area saw tornadic activity. Trees were torn down and cars were tossed around. One building was leveled as the storm moved through, as you see there. Officials believe one long-track tornado ripped through Henry County and Oldham and Jefferson counties. At least 11 tornadoes in Kentucky have now been confirmed so far, including 2 in Boyd County. Several Kentucky counties and cities have issued disaster declarations following Tuesday's storms. More than 20 counties reported storm damage, and I suspect that number has gone even higher. Governor Andy Beshear toured several hard-hit areas today and complimented Kentuckians on their efforts to prepare.
We didn't have as many people out in the first storm because people were paying attention. We did lose that one life. But in the second round, where we saw those tornadoes, right now we don't have a single confirmed fatality from the second part. We had a lot of businesses, including state government, that let out early.
Governor Beshear says that one person that died was in Campbell County in a car accident. A few thousand customers do remain without power tonight across the state. In Morgan County, officials say there was no substantial damage there following Tuesday's storms. Community members say after the 2012 tornado that killed 6 people in that county, severe weather puts them on high alert. Morgan County Judge Executive Jim Gazay says people take the warnings seriously.
We got hit hard by that EF3 tornado, and they remember that. I remember that, and it was just like everything was happening again, especially after that first wave came through. Everybody was just thinking, here we go again.
Gazay says following the storms Tuesday, there was only one power outage, but on Wednesday morning, there were nearly 600 Kentucky Power customers without power.
Well, thankfully, the weather is way more calm as we go into tonight. We are not tracking any severe weather or any thunderstorms, but we are watching out for a few showers and possibly a few areas of wintry mix through late Wednesday. Also on Thursday, as some cooler air continues to rush into our region. Zooming into the Big Sandy Valley, a few light sprinkles in Pike County, pushing into Buchanan County, Virginia. Also a few more light to moderate showers in Lee County. Also close to Campton for Wolfe County. Wouldn't be surprised to see possibly a few areas of small hail just to the north of Beattyville near the Lee and Wolfe County line there, where that yellow color is showing up because of the cold air in the atmosphere. That small hail is easily developing as we go into tonight. Notice as we zoom out, we are tracking some more moisture over western Kentucky, southern Indiana. Also some wintry weather beginning to show up close to Louisville, and again that will continue pushing into our direction. The good news, no really big issues with that winter weather as we go into the rest of tonight, as temperatures do stay above freezing in the middle to upper 30s as you wake up in the morning, and some more rain chances on the way tomorrow as well. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Actually heard some of that hail earlier hitting the windows right here at the station. Well, it's now been 50 years since a tornado outbreak claimed the lives of more than 300 Americans, including 71 people here in Kentucky. One of the many tornadoes that spun up that day was an F4 in Madison County. It killed 7 people. Jeremy Toms was in Richmond tonight as a documentary about that day premiered.
This day 50 years ago started like any other for the residents of Richmond and Madison County.
21 years old, just had not a care in the world, really.
Rita Land Parks says she had no idea a storm was coming.
And when I opened the door to go outside, I'd never seen a sky that looked that way.
It wouldn't be long until April 3rd, 1974 became an unforgettable day, one that resonates with Evan McCord in multiple ways.
That's my birthday, and I guess whether you would call that a present or an awakening, the tornado came in on that day.
McCord, Parks, and others relived that difficult history for a new documentary called You Didn't Have Time to Get Scared.
The shock was so great. There were no tears, there was no grief.
I never watched a storm before that, but I most definitely do now.
It premiered inside Whitehall Elementary at 7:12 p.m. Wednesday, 50 years on from when that F4 twister tore through the very same spot. Filmmakers Randy Rosenbaum and Philip Seifert saved 7 seats for the victims of that violent day.
That was a hard time. We lost people who lived on our farm. 3 of them died.
Parks hopes through this film, people will remember those we lost and remember how important it is to be aware of the weather.
They need to kind of watch some conditions that they have no control over and be prepared.
In Richmond, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
That documentary, we understand, will be available for anyone to watch on YouTube soon. The National Weather Service says there were 11 tornadoes in eastern Kentucky during the 74 outbreak, with 5 hitting Wayne County alone. Other counties affected included Laurel, Clay, Montgomery, McCreary, Pulaski, Rockcastle, and Whitley. The deadly tornadoes of 1974 also killed a half-dozen people in Louisville. Today, some of the people responsible for tracking the storms back then were back in the city. Sean Beatty shows us what they remember about that day 50 years later.
50 years, think of that. Whew.
Harvey Sloan had been Louisville's mayor only a few months. Current Mayor Craig Greenberg was just a year old. For some, it feels like so long ago, but they remember it like it was yesterday.
I was 19 days from my 39th birthday. Now I'm 19 days from my 89th birthday.
David Reeves was a forecaster for the National Weather Service and delivered the initial warnings for the area in 1974. But he was limited by today's standards.
Compared to today's technology, we didn't have any.
Using what was still World War II era equipment, he did his best to reach as many as possible.
We see what's happening and we put out warnings and people are dying or getting blown away.
Long recovered is the city of Louisville 50 years after those deadly storms, but much improved is the technology that allows forecasters to more accurately predict what's going to happen, which in return could hopefully save lives.
We still have a lot of vulnerability. We still have to take tornadoes extremely seriously.
Greg Forbes is a renowned severe weather expert. In 1974, he surveyed the area where roughly 150 tornadoes touched down, killing hundreds of Americans. Despite more advanced technology in the collection and dissemination of information, today's structures can still only handle so much.
The warnings are there now, but still, you have to be able to find a safe place to go. If you're at home, or especially if you're in a mobile home, those are still no safer now than they were in 1974.
In Louisville, Sean Bowdy, Wave News.
Meade County, Kentucky was hit hard 50 years ago with 31 deaths in that county alone. There was a memorial ceremony this afternoon at First Baptist Church in Brandenburg. A moment of silence was held just after 4 p.m., the exact time the tornado hit that town. Organizers hope the ceremony served as a time of reflection, remembrance, and unity. A section of US 25 in Rockcastle County, usually called South Wilderness Road, is closed after a rock slide. The blockage is at mile point 05 near Lower River Road. Officials have not said how long that road will stay closed. Today, Governor Beshear vetoed House Bill 581, commonly known as the Filling Station Bill. The bill is sponsored by Representative Ken Upchurch of Monticello. It would have banned local governments from restricting gas stations in favor of electric charging stations. Governor Beshear has remained supportive of electric vehicles. We are hearing from Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell about his future plans for the first time since announcing he would retire as Senate Republican leader. McConnell spoke to a large group from the Shelby County Farm Bureau and the Shelby County Chamber of Commerce today. He blamed President Biden's policies for damaging America's reputation across the world. McConnell says he won't have as much power once he retires as GOP leader, but says he is still committed to securing America's role as a world leader.
I may not be the leader of the Republicans in the Senate next year. I've certainly had my time in that job more than anybody else in American history. But I have a great passion for trying to help do everything I can to push back against the notion that somehow this is not in America's interest to be the leader of the democratic world.
McConnell, who is 82 years old now, will step down as GOP leader in November. He still plans to serve out the rest of his Senate term. And of course, he also recently endorsed former President Donald Trump. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, yesterday's weather had many people planning for a potential disaster. But one group in eastern Kentucky is always planning, and they could use your help.
Plus, we stay cool through Friday as spotty rain and snow chances stick around. Your forecast after this break.